I'm James Barfield with your Urban Connection. Remember, this is the channel that is often imitated, but is never, ever duplicated. Now, lately I've begun to think about the program, the basketball program at Wichita State University. I'm becoming a little bit concerned about the program itself and the head coach at WSU, Mr. Isaac Brown. And the reason I'm a little bit concerned is because, you know, Wichita State is a different breed of a basketball program. Since they don't have a football program, they depend upon the basketball program for their sports venture in this city. And as such, they look forward to each and every year a winning program, a program that will take them to the NCAA. Now, what causes me concern is last year, Wichita State finished with a record of 15-13. That's just slightly above 500. They didn't go to the NCAA. They were not invited to the NIT. That's not what Wichita State fans expect. So now, after the first 8 games into this 2022-2023 season, after 8 games, ladies and gentlemen, they're 4-4. 4 wins and 4 losses. That is 500 basketball. And I'm afraid that what we're seeing out of this team is less than what was anticipated at the beginning of the year. Now, I fully understand that we lost a lot of players last year. Several of them went to the transfer portal. The seniors played their final games. So basically, we have, I think, maybe only one senior on the team. We have a lot of new guys. That's fully understood. But let's face it, these guys have had plenty of time to practice before the season started. And on a team with what was a much anticipated team of very talented people, a team that, in my estimation, right now should be at least 6-2, at least maybe 7-1. But they're not playing the type of basketball right now the Wichita State fans are used to. Now, let's take a couple of games that they lost that they certainly by all means should have won. Now let's take the first one, which was a total embarrassment to the Wichita State team, coaches, and the fans. And I'm talking about Alcorn State. Now here's a team that Wichita paid to come in to play. Basically, it's just to give their players some practice, is what it was. But paid Alcorn State, which is a second tier college, second tier basketball team. They paid these people to come into their home court. This was a sure shot win. They expected it. The fans expected it. The coaches expected it, only to be embarrassed by Alcorn State defeating Wichita State on their home court. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not Wichita State style basketball. So there's a game they should have won. Now, had they won that game, they would be 5-3. All right. Now, so then on last Saturday night, they played K-State. K-State scored the first 6 points of the game. After that, Wichita State scored the next 10 points, 11 points in the game. And after that, K-State in the first half only led one time. And I believe the score was 17-16. After that, and there was probably about, maybe 12, 13 minutes left in the first half. And after that, Wichita State took over and led all throughout the first half. When the first half ended, they went to the dressing room with Wichita State ahead by 6 points. So they come out the second half. And Wichita State, first 5 shots, they jacked up 3-pointers. And out of the 5, they hit 1. Yeah. In spite of that, they still led. And they led throughout the entire second half of that game until about 7 to 8 seconds were left in the game. And K-State had dwindled the lead down, and they had tied with 9 seconds left. And guess what happened? Wichita State turned the ball over, and K-State had a gentleman who had not made a single shot all night, made about a 30-foot 3-point shot with about 7 to 6 seconds left in the game, and K-State won the game. Now there's another game. Wichita State had no business whatsoever losing. So now, like I said, after 8 games, Wichita State has a record of 4-4. Clearly, by any stretch of the imagination, they should have been, as I said, at least 6-2, and maybe 7-1. But here's the deal. We haven't even begun to play conference basketball yet. Now, when we look at last year's team had several seniors. We had some experienced players, and I'm not so sure if I want to say it was a better team than what we have here now, but it certainly looks like it. But even anyhow, last year, once conference play started, Wichita State lost 9 conference games. 9 conference games. And I can't remember what their record was going into the conference play. But going in this time, we know for a fact we're going in with 4 losses. Yeah. When the conference play begins, Houston is not only the top team in the AAC, Houston today is the #1 college team in the country. And guess what their record is? 8-0. 8-0. UConn is the #5 team in the country in college basketball. They also are a member of the American Athletic Conference. Cincinnati, while not being nationally ranked, is still a member of the American Athletic Conference. Tulsa, not ranked, but is still a member of the American Athletic Conference. Now, the reason I mention these teams are because if we'll recall last year, these were the teams that gave Wichita State several of their 9 losses. Houston, Memphis, I believe, won at home and in Memphis. Cincinnati, and I can't remember what happened with UConn, but all I'm saying is, ladies and gentlemen, if we lose at least 9 games in conference play, we've lost 4 games already in non-conference play, that's 13 losses. That gets you to where we were last year. With this team playing the way they are now, we're going to be a 500 or less team at the end of this year. Now, here's the problem. Wichita State is used to having a winning record. Now, along with that winning record, you have to see, or we're accustomed to seeing, 10,500 fans in those stands. So here's why I am concerned about Coach Isaac Brown and the soccer program. The new athletic director is not the guy that hired Isaac Brown. That's not the new athletic director's choice of coaches. Wichita State is not used to losing seasons. They don't pay these coaches at the college level to produce 500 teams. What I mean by 500 is you win 20 or you win 15 and you lose 15. That's a 500. They don't play that. They don't pay these college coaches $1 million a year to produce that kind of record, and particularly in Wichita. You see, Wichita fans love winning teams. They love teams at the end of the regular season will be playing in the NCAA. And if not the NCAA, they certainly expect to have enough respect to be invited to the NIT. And I'm afraid, we didn't do that last year, of course, and I'm afraid at the way we're going right now, we're not going to be able to do that again this year. I'm really scared that we might have a losing season this year. And that's not going to be good for the basketball program. That's not going to be good for Isaac Brown. And like I said, when you have a new athletic director, this is not the same guy that had the confidence in Isaac Brown that the athletic director that hired him had. You know, Wichita State, when those fans stop coming, when those season ticket holders stop coming because they're no longer excited about this program, some heads are going to roll, ladies and gentlemen, I guarantee you. Some heads are going to roll. Now, all these new guys we have, and they're not gelling together yet, and I'm not saying there's not time yet. There's still need plenty of season to go, but somehow or another, Isaac Brown and that coaching staff is going to have to turn this program around from what we've seen in the first 8 games. That is not going to work. Having an attendance of 6,500, 7,500, that's not going to work throughout this season. That is not going to work. Wichita State, you know, like I said, they love a winner. And when you stop winning, they will certainly, and in a hurry, turn their backs on you. And when that happens, and the boosters start seeing all those empty seats, start seeing all those losses, because when you lose 10, 12, 13, 15, 16 games at Wichita State, you can count. You've had a very bad year, okay? And last year was a bad year. This year is starting off not to be a good year. Wichita State does not lack, nor will they tolerate a mediocre team. So that is what has me concerned. We are not getting the results of the talents from the team that we have put together here so far this year. Now, from my understanding of what's happening, even the coaches are having problems getting these guys to practice and put some excitement and show some talent even in the practice sessions. Now, in the Alcorn State game, the players even admitted they took these guys for granted. They didn't play hard. They didn't play angry. They didn't play well. And they were embarrassed by a second-tier team, okay, that they paid money to come in and play on their home court in a non-conference game. And ladies and gentlemen, in this conference, and I've just told you about some of the teams, but certainly when you've got the number one team in the country, Houston, which has basically for the last few years just handled Wichita State any way they wanted them, with the exception of the one game there at the very end in Brown's first year as head coach, where they won the conference championship. Other than that, Houston, Memphis last year handled Wichita State any way they wanted to. Cincinnati has done it for the last 3 years. UConn, not so much, but UConn this year appears to be a better team than we played in the last 2 to 3 years. So we've got to play much better basketball once the conference starts. And I've said all along, you are not going to win very many, if any, college basketball games today playing in the AAC, scoring 51, 52, 53 points. No, sir. That's not going to work. You're going to be looking at having to average at least 75 points a game to have any chance of winning against Houston, against Memphis, against Cincinnati, maybe Connecticut, and who knows, maybe a couple of others. After all, there are 11 teams, I believe, in the AAC. And you're not going to win many games if you cannot get your offense to actually score some points. You know, one of the problems that I have, and I said this last year, Wichita State, for whatever reason, they have a habit of jacking up threes when they're not hitting. But they don't have a habit of having these young guards drive to the basket. And that's the way they get beat most of the time. The opponent's guards are just having their way, driving right through the lane, going to the basket. And when they don't score, they get fouled. Wichita State has never developed that habit of driving to the basket. And maybe they could be the recipient, if not a basket, a foul. Go to the free throw line. But then once you do that, you've got to make them once you go there. So all I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that on paper, and when you look at the schedule, you look at the teams, look at the conference play, the conference teams, it doesn't look good for Wichita State having a winning season, an above 500 season. And without that, and this being the second straight year where Wichita State didn't come anywhere near 20 wins, you can expect to see those stands with a lot of empty seats. And a lot of empty seats in a Wichita State program spells bad news for the coach. And I don't care who the coach is, it spells bad news. So that's why I have a concern for the Wichita State program, and in particular, Wichita State head basketball coach. Now, like I said, we still have a lot of season ahead of us. But the biggest part of that season from here on in is going to be conference play. Wichita State is going to have to be much more into providing consistent, and I use that word, consistent offense, along with consistent defense. If you expect to play your way to the NCAA or at least the NIT for this season, I got 3 words for you. Step it up. Step it up. Ozzie Brown, you've got to put your play angry mentality to work for these players. Otherwise, your job just might be on the line. I'm James Barfield. Thanks for watching.